Well, welcome, everybody, to this wake-up call. We are so glad that you have joined us on this Tuesday in the last week of May. I can't even believe it. It seems like it's just flying by so very fast. We are in the book, 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself and Change Your Life Forever by Steve Chandler. We hope you are enjoying this book as much as we are, and we're on chapter number 14, Bounce Your Thoughts. So I'm going to go ahead and read that to y'all right now, and then Jamie's going to come in and give his take on it. And I'm very excited to share with you today, Bounce Your Thoughts. If you've ever coached or worked with kids who play basketball, you know that most of them have a tendency to dribble with only one hand, the one attached to their dominant arm. When you notice a child doing this, you might call him aside and say, "Billy, you're dribbling with just the one hand every time, and the defender can easily defend you when you do that. Your options are cut off. You need to dribble with your other hand, too, so that he never knows which way you're going to go." At this point, Billy might say, "I can't." And you smile and say, "What do you mean you can't?" And Billy then shows you that when he dribbles with his subdominant, weaker hand and arm, the ball is all over the place. So in his mind, he can't. "Billy," you say, "it's not that you can't, it's just that you haven't." Then you explain to Billy that his other hand can dribble just as well if he's willing to practice. It's just a matter of logging enough bounces. It's the simple formation of a habit. After enough practice dribbling with his other hand, Billy will learn you were right. The same principle is true for reprogramming our own dominant habits of thinking. If our dominant thought habit is pessimistic, all we have to do is dribble with the other hand. Think optimistic thoughts more and more often until it feels natural. If someone had asked me before I started my journey to self-motivation that begins with Napoleon Hill why I didn't try to be more goal-orientated and optimistic, I would have said, "I can't. It's just not me." I wouldn't know how. But would have been more accurate for me just to say, "I haven't." Thinking is just like bouncing the basketball. On the one hand, I can think pessimistically and build that side of me up. It's just a matter of repeatedly bouncing those thoughts. On the other hand, I can think optimistically, one thought at a time, and build that habit up. Self-motivation is all a matter of how much in control you want to be. The overall pattern won't change after just a few positive bounces of the brain. If you're a pessimist, your biocomputer has been programmed heavily in that direction. But it doesn't take long before a new pattern can emerge. As a former pessimist myself, I can tell you it really happens, slowly but surely. You do change, one thought at a time. If you can bounce it one way, you can bounce it the other. Well, I love this chapter, and I think it's so apropos that Mr. Yount is going to share about it because Mr. Yount knows all about playing basketball and coaching kids who play basketball. So here you go, Jamie.
Absolutely. And so I love this for so many reasons. There's so many things that are relative to life. And I think whether we want to admit it or not, we have habits, and we've developed those habits because we create a cycle of doing the same thing. And so if you want to be motivated, and we're talking about thinking positive, we're talking about basketball, I think sports is relative to life, but at the end of the day, I think no matter where you are in your journey, no matter what you're getting ready to do, number one, you can't be afraid to be a beginner. And that's really what it's all about. Just imagine this is a young boy, starting, to dribble with his left hand, which, I was a basketball coach. I coached 7th grade basketball, and the very first thing I would teach the guys is say, you know what, my job is to teach you the fundamentals and teach them those kind of things, how to shoot a left-handed layup, and develop the love to play the game. But you develop that love and the motivation to do it by just taking action, right? So, you might say, gosh, some people will be very like, hey, that's not me, right? I'm not I got stuff figured out. But what about when God calls you to do something new? What about when God calls you to a new place? What about when God puts someone in your life that needs your testimony, but you're too afraid of dribbling with your left hand and dribbling all over the place because maybe you're not doing it enough. Maybe you're not doing it consistently. Maybe you're in a place where you feel not motivated to take action on those kind of things. And I think it's a really simple thing, but it's a really big thing no matter where you are in life. I'm 51 years old, and 2 years ago, I was 49, almost ready to turn 50. We embarked on this powerlifting journey that I talked about for a year or so before I did it. And, really it's turned into something incredible because now the boys compete. They're learning life lessons with doing things, setting goals, working on things that they're working out, doing hard things when they don't want to do it consistently. At 10 years old, and James too, at 19, they're doing some amazing things. They hold 50 national and state records apiece. They've been athlete of the year. We were family of the year. And here's the thing. It's not about me. It's something we do as a family. It's something that was very uncomfortable, although I had worked out all my life. But when you compete, it's a very different process. It's very different, it's something that's very new. So I was afraid a little bit to be a beginner, but I just decided, I'm going to do that. God's calling me to do that. It's opened relationships. It's been just an incredible thing that now, we do as a family. But, it might be whatever that is for you, right? When we came into network marketing, right, it was something new. I never had recruited my friends for nutritional products, but it was something new. I didn't know how to go about that process. I didn't know what a three-way call was. I was 100% afraid of standing in front of people and speaking in front of people. I was a kid that almost flunked out of class because I would cry and be terrified through grade school, through high school, through college, of doing a speech, public speaking, right? I'm sure somebody on here can relate. But God was calling me to do something different, and it's okay to be a beginner, right? And again, it's not about me. That's not what I mean. I share that just because God took me on this fabulous journey where we are able to be at home every day, spoke in Dallas Cowboy Stadium in front of 27,000 people, completely terrified, and and Holly the same, just this amazing journey, and whether it's the powerlifting, whether it's the network marketing, doing something new. What is it that you're maybe afraid to be a beginner, right? To get started, because motivation always follows action. People wait to get motivated to get into action, and it's scientifically proven. It's just, it's a means to an end that it will not work. If you're waiting to get motivated, you get motivated by taking action, right? So when you look at folks, and we just watched the end of the NBA Finals, one of the games, Luka, he's like the guy's crazy, right? As a basketball player, Michael Jordan's the best of all time. But you think about it, at some point they picked up basketball for the very first time. Take Michael Jordan. He's the greatest of all time. It's indisputable. There's zero argument, right, for someone that knows basketball. But if at some point he picked up a basketball for the very first time, and he decided to dribble with his left hand for the very first time. Sometime, you maybe did the same thing, right? When you got married, you decided to be a spouse, right? You decided to become a parent, right? But then is the decision of continuing to be the best that you can be where God has called you. Many people want to say, "Gosh, I'd love to be to kind of be in front of, lead a big team, or have 20,000 people and things." But you never get there until you take it in the small areas where God's called you, right, in your four walls, with your spouse, with your marriage, with being a parent, with those little things. Wherever God's called you, maybe you're not a spouse, maybe you're not a parent, maybe you're just, hey, I'm here. Then wherever God's called you, if it's a welder, right, in a factory, right, nothing pretty, nothing fabulous, nothing prestigious. It's dirty, it was like a prison, but take that and you do the best that you can in those moments. And it's okay to be a beginner, but if you start down that process, right, eventually you're going to get better. And it just takes practice. It takes consistency. And if anything, before I turn it back to Holly, I think, lots of all over scattered thoughts, but consistency is the ultimate life hack. And it's really easy to be consistent when things are going your way, right? It's really easy to be consistent when the time is right. It's really easy to be consistent when you have everything kind of in place, right? But something I teach the boys, there's always those days, and I always say, 90% of the time, I don't want to go out there and work out, right? I want to spend time with my family. I want to spend time with Holly, and, it's so super important, because the rubber meets the road on the days when you don't feel like it, right? I'm sure he didn't feel like dribbling with his left hand the first day because he's not very good at it. But I bet if he did it a couple times, and you did it a couple times a week, you'd start to get better. And you know what? When you get better and you see results, that's when motivation happens. So you can take that across this whole book, previous chapters to come. There's one law that will stand true every single chapter. Motivation follows action. And it's from this: don't be afraid to be a beginner. You're going to be dribbling the ball with your left hand for the very first time, right? But if you do it a couple times and you do it consistently, even when you don't want to, even when you don't feel like it, you're going to get better. And whatever it is that you're trying to get better at in life, don't be afraid to be a beginner and dribble the ball with your left hand.
Wow, so introspective, so wise. I love listening to you break that all down, because you are the most consistent human being that I have ever met. I admire and respect you so much, Jamie, for really living that out in your life. And, everything he's talking about is so true. I mean, he's had to be a beginner at a lot of different things. I've been able to be at his side and watching him stand up in a room full of people for the first time, and, being afraid but doing it anyways. And because he had a bigger purpose and a bigger calling on his life. And I have so much, like I said, admiration and respect for that. And I just want to leave you with this, because Jamie's done such a great job. There's really nothing else left for me to say except for this. You might have listened to everything that I read from this chapter and everything Jamie said, and, that's good for everyone else, but it's not for me. I want to encourage you that it is for you, and don't be like this kid. I can't. It's just, I can't do it. It's just not me, or like he said, I wouldn't know how to have, personal growth. You can do it. You can change if you want to, one thought at a time. And if, like it says here, if you can bounce it one way, we're sometimes really good at bouncing it the negative way. Well, I can't, and I was raised this way, and I don't have this spouse, and I don't have someone that supports me, and I don't know, and I'm too afraid, and I can't, my hair's brown or green or orange, or, I wear glasses, I can't hear, or I can't walk right. We're so easily drawn to that negativity. And I'm telling you right now, it can go just as easy the other way, but it's a habit. It's something you have to start, like Jamie says, begin again, one thought at a time. And again, if you can bounce it one way, we certainly can bounce it the other way. So thank you. Have a beautiful, blessed week. We're so glad you joined us, and we'll be back here next Tuesday, and someone will be here tomorrow and Thursday and Friday. And we hope you have enjoyed this number 14 chapter, which was Bounce Your Thoughts.
All right. We love you all. Let me unmute. Maybe I won't unmute everybody. It won't let me do anything. All right, so we're going to call that a wrap.
We're bouncing our
Bounce out. Love y'all.